I'm Monica Hunsberry. I'm an advisor for Revel 11, and it's really my pleasure to be here tonight in conversation with Dr. Keira Barr. I've gotten to know Keira over this last year, and she really has a ton of knowledge and energy around the topic that she's presenting on tonight, which is helping women feel comfortable in the skin they're in. And as we all know, beauty is not just skin deep, and she has a great perspective from the inside out, and I think a lot to share. We sent out her bio before tonight's event, but I'll just highlight that she is a leader in women's medicine and really focuses on hormones, skins, and mind-body medicine to help us as women optimize, especially during our midlife experiences. She is a best-selling author. She's a clinical educator and has been an assistant clinical professor at UC Davis, both in dermatology and pathology. So again, just I could go on and on, a tremendous wealth of knowledge, but really what I love is also how incredibly passionate she is about helping all of us feel our best every day in the skin we're in. So with that, Keira, welcome and take it away.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and hopefully this will work.
And we are recording tonight's event for everybody who's listening, so you can see the recording as well. Okay, you are up and running.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for having me and joining me um, to Loving the Skin You're In, a woman's guide to radical self-love. So I'll kick this off with a shocking statistic, at least it's shocking to me. The average American woman spends upwards of $300,000 on her appearance in the course of her lifetime, which is funding a greater than $500 billion beauty industry. I mean, it blows my mind every time I hear that statistic. But here's what I know. I truly believe that women deserve to be seen and heard and understood and feel beautiful at every stage of their life so they can take control of their health and their happiness and truly be the CEO of their health and their life. And the other thing that I truly believe is that you already have everything that you need right now to look and feel amazing and live the life that you desire, except for one thing. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. I'm going to share with you. Because here's the thing. Skincare, it really isn't about the products that you use. It's truly about you. It's about who you are on the inside that shows up on the outside. It's about feeling comfortable in your skin and strong in your body. It's about confidence and resilience and calm. It's about your overall well-being and your inner beauty. In essence, it's your glow. So if all this presentation does tonight is raise your awareness about an innovative or new approach to skin health, or spark your curiosity about your own state of well-being, or inspire you to take action and kickstart your own self journey, I would be thrilled. But even if it does none of those things, I'd ask you to consider to listen for somebody else who may benefit from this information, your loved ones, your colleagues, and your children, because as women, we are role models for the people around us, and it has a ripple effect. So I'll kick it off. I love this quote by Henry David Thoreau that it's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. And this will be a really important theme for us tonight. And I kick that off by sharing this photo of myself. What might you see, right, when you look at this? At first glance, you might think, oh, she's really happy. I mean, she's smiling. She looks like she's on top of the world. And I felt like I was close to it. This is my last ultra marathon that I ever ran. And I was at almost 10,000 feet in Lake Tahoe. But here's the thing. Here's what you don't see. I'm smiling because there is a photographer crouched down to the bottom right of that photo. I was not happy. I was in chronic pain. I was bloated all the time, raging PMS, migraine headaches, really didn't like my job. I literally was running away from a lot of things. And what you also don't see is the growing and changing lesions, pigmented lesions. And I was having biopsied every couple of months for over a decade. And it wasn't until I found that one spot on my arm when I was doing my self-exam that my heart sank, because I knew that this spot was different. And at the time, I was practicing academic dermatology. The focus of my practice was skin cancer and melanoma. So it was pretty horrifying when I had to diagnose that particular spot as melanoma. It really was my wake-up call. It really made me stop and take notice that everything I thought I was doing right was completely wrong. Because from that point forward, being able to take notice, it made me be able to take action. Because it wasn't what I was looking at, right? It was it's not what you look at, it's what you see. And I just wasn't seeing the real problem. I really had to go beyond skin deep. Because here's the thing, your skin is a reflection of your overall health and well-being. And what shows up on it not only tells you so much about what's happening beneath the surface physically, physiologically, but it says so much about how you're showing up in it. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. So this idea of listening to the whisper so you don't have to hear the scream. Such a simple proverb, and yet it's so impactful and has had such a profound impact on my life, right? Those growing and changing lesions, those were the whispers that my skin was trying to tell me, but I was completely deaf to it. My skin was shouting at me and I was deaf to it. And I don't want that for you. In fact, that's actually why I named my book The Skin Whisper, because it's this idea that your body and your skin are sending you messages at all times. And the onus is on us to take notice, to use what we see as an opportunity to take action, to take control of our health, to take control of our life and how we want to show up in the world. So I want to invite all of you to take notice and to see if you can hear what your skin might be trying to tell you that you may have not been paying attention to. So I know that we've just met, but I want to invite you all to get comfortable in your chairs, or you can lay down if you want to. But I really want to invite you to really tune in to what your skin may be telling you. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or just to have a soft downward gaze. And just allow yourself to breathe normally. And I invite you to take some of those breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. May not be how you regularly breathe, but you'll get used to it. Just take some nice breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as you inhale and you exhale, just invite you to allow your brow to soften. Allow your shoulders to come away from your ears. Allow your jaw to relax. Just let the oxygen just nourish all your cells. And as you continue to breathe, I'm going to ask you to bring your attention to the top of your head. And just in your mind's eye, take notice of your scalp. Noticing if you've noticed thinning of your hair, widening of your part, or increased shedding. And as you move down from your scalp to your face, notice your eyebrows. Observe the lateral third of your eyebrows. Have you noticed that they've been thinning or they're missing? Have you been having to pencil in your eyebrows more often lately? And as you continue to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, just take notice of your face and whether you have observed darkening spots on your skin, perhaps some hairs on your chin that weren't there before. Maybe you're breaking out and you hadn't been breaking out before, or you haven't broken out since you're a teenager. And as you continue to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, and your body is becoming more relaxed with every breath, just expand your awareness to what may be happening beneath your shirt. Have you noticed any new spots that may be growing or changing? And as you continue to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, and feel your belly expand with air and feel it relax. Notice that belly. Have you noticed an increased layer of fat accumulating around your waistline? And as you continue to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, expanding your awareness to your lower half, just thinking about any sensations that you've had, that you've noticed, any aches or pains, as well as areas of comfort and deliciousness. Just continue to work your way down from your lower legs to the bottoms of your feet. Continue to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just noticing what you can notice. Thinking about your hair, your skin, your nails, anything that may come to mind. As you take an additional deep breath, bringing your awareness back to your breath, I invite you to open your eyes back up, come back into the space. And just see how you feel. What did you notice? When I was asking about, I don't know if anyone has any questions, but when I was asking about your scalp and your hair, you know, your skin, most of us, when we look in the mirror, we may look and we're scrutinizing, we might be criticizing, but that hair shedding or that hair thinning can tell, especially for those of us in midlife, can tell a lot about hormonal imbalances. You know, if you're experiencing widening of your part and thinning of the hair on your scalp, but you're noticing you're growing a beard, you're like, WTF, I'm going bald and I'm growing a beard, right? Like, what is happening? That is your skin's way of telling you that your hormones are out of balance. There's a really intricate interplay between your estrogen, your progesterone, and your androgens, your testosterone. And starting in our mid to late 30s, our progesterone levels start to go down at a precipitous rate. And so estrogen is also decreasing, and eventually your androgens will decrease too. But because progesterone is going down first, there's this relative imbalance. So there's this relative androgen dominance. And this is important because testosterone in excess can create problems for hair. So in a normal circumstance, testosterone is converted to dihydrotestosterone, which is dihydrotestosterone, which I'm going to call DHT because that's a mouthful, is the more potent form. Progesterone has a role in blocking the conversion of testosterone to that more potent form DHT by blocking this enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. So as we are heading into our mid to late 30s and progesterone is decreasing, the ability of our body to block that enzyme decreases. So what happens? You have a higher degree of that more potent androgen, that DHT, that's affecting your scalp, causing the hairs to thin, what we call follicular miniaturization. The hairs on your scalp thin, decreased hair density, but on the face, DHT has the opposite effect. It actually causes stimulation of those follicles, hence female pattern baldness on the scalp, increased hair on the chin. Your eyebrows, I mentioned, lateral third of your eyebrows could be a clue that your thyroid hormone, that your thyroid gland is not functioning optimally and that your thyroid hormone is at decreased levels. Your skin, right? Our hormones estrogen plays a significant role on collagen and elastin, what gives us that youthful, plumpy glow. And it's decreasing, so you might notice increased fine lines and wrinkles and skin sag. It also is an indication too of how you're nourishing your body. Food plays a big role in our skin health. Dark spots on your face, certainly the longer we are alive, the more mature we are, the more sun exposure we've had. We know that 90% of visible signs of aging are from sun exposure, right? So these are just amazing clues that your skin is giving you about what's happening physiologically in your body that otherwise we might have just covered that up, think that there's something, wrong, but I would invite you to think of your skin differently, right? Your skin can be your greatest cheerleader when you're eating well, moving well, thinking well, loving well, but it can also be your crappiest confidant. And yet, that's not even a bad thing because the gossip that it's sharing with you is the best gossip you could ever imagine because it gives you the opportunity to do something about it, right? This is your opportunity to be the CEO of your health because you see what's happening and then you have an opportunity to be like, hey, this isn't something to be ignored. May not know exactly what to do, but I can find the resources, get help, go see a dermatologist or my primary care physician and get the attention that I need. So I've kind of gone on and on about that, but I just really want to emphasize that what shows up on your skin is actually information and an opportunity to actually celebrate this skin that we're in, have gratitude that it's giving us those messages so that you can hear them when they are just a whisper and not a scream. The other thing is, as you were doing that exercise, how many of you, I'm going to raise my hand, like as what else did you notice as you're going through that, when you were observing, did anyone have some negative thoughts come through their mind, You're like, oh, the wrinkles, oh, the cellulite on the thighs, the weight around the middle. And that weight around the middle, why I bring that to attention as well. It's not to shame anybody. That's stress, right? Most of us women, what are the two things that we put on the back burner? Sleep and self-care, right? But here's the thing, that weight gain around the middle is tightly linked to how we take care of ourselves, sleep and stress. It's that stress hormone cortisol that rises. And listen, we're still in COVID and we are constantly under threat, real or perceived. In normal circumstances, that stress response that we have is fine, right? You feel threatened, something's going on, you get a cortisol spike, it goes back down to normal. But in the past year, we have been under constant threat. So that stress response is ongoing. And your body is going to prioritize formation of cortisol. And so when that happens, your body thinks it needs fuel and energy to get out of harm's way. So cortisol has an interplay with causes insulin which is another hormone, to elevate. And it does that so it can release blood sugar, glucose, so that your heart, your lungs, your muscles have the fuel that it needs to deal with whatever this danger is, right? The problem is that your cells can only handle so much, right? Because our body was designed for stress to go up and go down and use the fuel the glucose that's available, and there's no excess. When you're under chronic stress, you have these insulin and glucose, but sugar spikes. Your cells are overwhelmed. So where does that blood sugar wind up? Eventually, it gets converted, needs to be stored, and it gets converted to fat. Hence that menopause muffin top, or if you're not quite in menopause, it's the same. This can happen at any age, but for those of us in midlife, that's one of the biggest reasons why it happens. So when you might have been going through that observation, if you had thoughts of self-criticism or nitpicking, you're not alone. We have over 60,000 thoughts a day, and so many of them are negative. So it's most of us that have these thoughts. And here's the thing, that most of us just, we don't appreciate, we don't acknowledge, right? How you do one thing is how you do everything. And it's not just about your skin or what you see on the surface. It's your relationship to it and yourself that matters most. In other words, you're really only defined by how you think about yourself. And how you see yourself is how you treat yourself. And how you treat yourself is how you teach other people to treat you. So the big question is, how do you want to be treated? Right? I don't think many of us necessarily think about this on the regular, but I'm inviting you to own that, to think about that. How do you want to be treated? And I know that I can't see many of your faces at all, but I have a hunch that you're all beautiful, because it's true beauty is from the inside out. And I invite you to think of yourself as royalty. You are, no one is, and here's the other thing. No one is going to anoint you. We have to anoint ourselves. So I'm inviting you to anoint yourself as the queen of your health and your happiness tonight. And to do that, I know I'm putting you through a lot of rigor here, but I really want to invite you to use your imagination to visualize yourself into feeling comfortable and confident in this skin of ours, because it is a practice. So this crown, and yours can be whatever color that you want it to be, bedazzled and bejeweled. This, I wanted to share with you something. It was a variation on this theme. A public speaking coach had shared this, and I thought that it was really powerful, because it's something we can instantaneously do at any time when we're feeling less than, or doubting ourselves, or feeling unworthy, feeling uncomfortable in this skin of ours. And that's to put on our imaginary crown. And I want you for a second just to close your eyes and imagine that you put on this crown. And again, yours could be bedazzled with whatever jewels that you want, your favorite colors. And imagine that this crown has a train attached to it. And that train is flowing all the way down your back onto the floor for, it has quite a bit behind you. And there's some weight to it. So as you put this crown on and the train, just imagine that the weight of it is making you stand up a little taller, forcing your shoulders to be back just a little bit. And imagine that you have the ability to move that train, right? You can move it from side to side and sway. If you feel so inclined, you can get up from your chair and just take it for a spin and feel the weight of that crown and the train and the swaying behind you. And there may be people who are trying to step on that train, trying to tell you things, trying to say things about you or about your skills, and they're trying to get on the train, but you can move it. right? You get to decide, and you get to navigate how you receive that information and what you think about and decide how you want to be treated, right? So you have that ability to move that train in any direction you want. And I know that this may not feel completely comfortable, but I just want you to feel that, feel the weight of it. Stand a little taller, stand a little prouder, right? Because you are the queen. And just remember that train, no one can step on it, right? You have the ability to move it out of the way. So I would love to just stop for just a second. I don't know. I would just love to see like what people are thinking, feeling. Could they actually imagine it? Did that work for you? Did that feel silly? Can I stop sharing for, oh, except of course my, let's see, I don't know. I stopped sharing so that, did anyone actually try that on? Feel how that felt? Does anyone want to share if they actually did that?
Hi, Kara. I love the visual about we get to choose if people are stepping on that train, right? And that visual of swaying with it. I thought that was really lovely. Thank you.
Yeah. And I know it can feel weird. I know I've asked you to now close your eyes and imagine your skin. I've asked you to put on a crown and sashay around your living room, but there's power in this. And this is a practice. This is not something that comes naturally to most of us, but I encourage you to just try it on for size. Just try it on. So I'm going to share my screen again. And for those of you who actually did it and may have felt, maybe you were standing a little bit straighter and taller and maybe a little bit more sassy.
And Kira, if I can interrupt for just another second here, because I want to share. Somebody wrote in the chat, I love this, Marianne. I threw my train over my head and it became a hot air balloon that helped me soar even higher. Isn't that a lovely visual?
Oh, such a lovely visual. Oh my gosh, I love that. And here's why I love that so much. Why did that work? Why were you able to create that visual, right? It's because you were on the winning team. And this idea of team, this is my version of a well-established theory based on the works of like Byron Katie and Dr. Maxwell Maltz back from the 60s, the psychocybernetics, right? This idea that everything that we do in our lives is because of how we think it's going to make us feel. And to the contrary, everything that we don't do in our lives that we avoid is because of how we think it'll make us feel. And this idea of team, right? Your thoughts, your emotions, your action, and the manifestation. Our thoughts create our feelings. So if you're feeling a certain way, you're soaring in a hot air balloon. What was the thought that you had to have in order to create that feeling? And then you were able to, the action that you took, you were able to, get into that moment. And the outcome, hopefully, is that you felt maybe more relaxed, more energized, more vitalized. The biggest issue is that for most of us, we are creating thoughts. Actually, I would say we're unaware of the thoughts. Like I said, we've got 60,000 thoughts that go through our brain on a daily basis. Most of them we're totally unaware of. And we wind up feeling insecure. We wind up feeling bad, guilt, shame, all of these things. Those feelings are simply created by a thought that we're having, an unintentional thought that we're having, right? Our thoughts create our emotions, and we believe that they're true. But here's the thing, beliefs are simply thoughts that we've repeated over and over and over again. And essentially we believe our own BS. right? They're completely arbitrary, these thoughts. And because we have oftentimes negative thoughts that create a sense of dis-ease in our body, we wind up taking action from a place of scarcity or shame or lack of self-love, right? How we see ourselves becomes the compass from which we navigate every aspect of our lives. How we nourish ourselves, how we eat, how we sleep, how we move, the relationships that we have, the jobs that we have, the jobs that we stay in that we don't even maybe like. I know that was true for me. But here's the amazing part again, just like our skin, we can see it from a different lens. We have an opportunity, instead of allowing just unintentional thought that creates dis-ease, we have that opportunity on a consistent basis to have that experience of soaring above the air in a hot air balloon, right? Start with how you want to feel. Then you get to decide ahead of time, right, how you want to feel. So then you can choose, well, what do I need to think to create that feeling, right? I get to decide what to think. If I want to feel confident, what thought do I need to believe in order to feel confident? No one gets to decide that but you. Again, you are the CEO of your life, which is really, really cool. So I just invite you, this is all about an invitation. Do you need to change teams? Are the thoughts that you're having about your body, about your skin, about your life, about your relationships, are they creating dis-ease in your body? Are they creating an emotion that is not one that you desire? Then perhaps you need to change teams. Intentionally create the thoughts you want to think and practice them so that you can create the feeling that you want to create, so that you can take the action that'll help reinforce that whole cycle, that manifestation, the outcome that you get will reinforce the belief, that the thought that you've had. So if you're getting a result in your life that you don't like, take a look at what you're thinking. Maybe you need to change teams. This topic is simple, and yet it's really complex. And so it could be an entire talk in and of itself. So I'm just kind of planting a little seed, right? When we're not feeling good about ourselves, when we're not feeling comfortable in our skin, comfortable in our bodies, what is the thought that's triggering that? You might not always be able to identify, because, man, some of these thoughts we've been thinking since our childhood, and they might be hard to unroot because you see them as truths. So you might have to start from the inverse of switching teams and decide, well, I don't really feel good. I'm not really sure what the thought is yet, but I know that I want to feel joy. What do I think? What do I need to think to create joy? Is it, that cute, Joni was sharing her cute puppy, you're right? Is it just something outside yourself, like a funny video that you saw, an adorable puppy, just the smell of your favorite treat baking in the oven, right? It's just to change states and get you into an elevated emotion that then can propel you into taking action and creating the result that you really want for yourself. So to take this a step further, because I want to be able to open this up for questions, your identity is really built on your beliefs about yourself. And as I said, most of the time we're unintentional with our thoughts. We're on autopilot, right? We've been thinking them so long we don't even detect our own BS. So you can decide ahead of time how you want to feel and create the thoughts that will create that feeling. So I encourage you to try this on for your home practice, right? Put on your crown with your train, stand up a little straighter, shoulders back. You're totally royalty. and an invitation to take this a step further by doing mirror work. This is probably the most powerful tool for really developing a relationship with ourselves. Because let's be honest, looking at ourselves, staring at ourselves in the mirror can be a little bit uncomfortable. And at first it might be, and that's totally okay. Again, it's an invitation to dedicate a minimum of 5 minutes a day, consistently, right? Not just a one and done, because that's not where transformation happens. It's the small, consistent actions that we take that add up to huge shifts. So 5 minutes, that's all it takes. If 5 minutes feels too much, start with one, start with 30 seconds, start with a minute and work your way up. And ideally grab a handheld mirror, right? So you can really ideally look at your face, look in your eyes, hold your gaze. And it's okay if it feels uncomfortable. Just simply, this goal is just to witness yourself without judgment. This is an exercise in mindfulness, being in the moment and just observing without criticism, right? We've already established that your skin is your greatest asset, your greatest ally. So look at it from that perspective of what you see is not something that the beauty industry is trying to tell you needs to be covered up, camouflaged, right? Fixed. You don't need to be fixed. What you may need to do is take notice. And so having that handheld mirror and looking at your face or your body, and if nothing else, come from a place of, if you can't, the choosing an affirmation, right, of positive thought, right? We're trying to change the thoughts to create the emotion. Because the mirror truly, it reflects back to you the feelings you have about yourself, and it makes you immediately aware of them, what you're resisting and what you're open and allowing to flow. And it clearly shows what thoughts you'll need to change if you want to have that sense of joy, that fulfilling life. So in other words, in front of the mirror, there's no hiding. And it is an intimate experience with yourself, and it can sometimes be painful. But this is an opportunity for growth and connection to yourself. And so committing 5 minutes a day, taking the handheld mirror, making eye contact with yourself. And an affirmation could be very simple. An affirmation is really just an opportunity to counteract that negative self-talk that's running through your head. And it's also a way that we can reprogram our mind. When we use affirmations, we're affirming something that we like about ourselves or something positive we wish to give ourselves. And you can create your own, or if you have found some in books or inspirational quotes that you use that. For example, if you're not feeling comfortable, if you're feeling like, ugly in that moment, you can affirm that I have a beautiful heart and soul, right? It may be hard for you to go from, I really hate what I'm seeing, to I love myself. Not necessarily realistic, right? But here is what may be realistic. Think about the functionality of your skin, what your skin is doing for you. So sure, you may not love the cellulite on your thighs, but can you appreciate that those thighs carry you up mountains? Joni was sharing that she climbed the Swiss Alps, right? Those thighs are powerful. Those are strong. For those of us who've had babies, holding a baby on our hip, right? Those, the hips that you think might be a little too wide right now, well, those are powerful hips, right? That your eyelashes, maybe you feel like you need to put on the falsies, that your eyes aren't popping enough, but the eyelashes that you have are protecting your eyes from debris and keeping your eyes, safe. So if nothing else, you can level up your self-love by coming at your skin and your body from a place of appreciation, from a place of gratitude. Sometimes love may be a leap, but gratitude may be more attainable. So I encourage you to give this a try, 5 minutes a day. And, I would love to hear back how it goes, because honestly, I know it's not the easiest thing to do, but I welcome you to it. And with that, I will unshare my screen.
And Keira, this is Monica. I think that is so lovely. And I agree with you. I think what's really important, and I want to open it up for questions as well, is that you're right. Sometimes it can be really hard to go from this place of, oh my gosh, so much is changing in my body or in my look. And especially now when we're on Zoom all the time and always having to look at ourselves in the mirror, if you will, on these Zoom calls, it can be easy to be a critic. And I'll just share, a personal story in that, I have scoliosis, which is curvature of the spine, and I've had a couple back surgeries. So I have scars from that. And, I was always doing this self-loathing about, the evenness of my body. And finally, one day I just changed the message in the morning to say, this is the body that has carried me 50 years and is going to carry me for the next 50. And just that love and grace redirected versus that, that conflict, I feel like has made such a huge difference for me. So I love that you are giving tips on helping people redirect. I think people might also want tips on, well, gosh, if I recognize some of the things that you talked about hormonally, where I can go with that. But let's see what questions people might have. So everyone, feel free to put that in the chat. Joni wrote reprogramming our mind. I love that. Okay, Gigi has a great question here. What do you think about organic skincare? Is it significantly better than the regular one? Is it worth the extra investment?
Yeah, I love that question. So I think the fewer ingredients, the better. And ideally, organic is preferred. What we put on our skin does get absorbed. And I know there's a lot of controversy, clean beauty, green beauty. Is it a lot of greenwashing, brainwashing? But think about how things are grown, organically sourced. We're decreasing the toxic burden, the pesticides and such. And the toxicity in our body has a big role on how our body functions, and especially how we metabolize our hormones. So I think that where you can do organic, and skincare products are expensive, I would say focus more on organic for your food and what you put in your body, and where you can get cleaner products. So yes, I'm a big fan, but there are definitely some, tried and true products that aren't organic, like your topical retinoids. And you're putting on just a little bit. So the amount that you're actually absorbing into your body isn't as significant. So if you're going to go organic, I would focus more on the foods that you eat.
Great, that's helpful. Another question is, what's the best way to measure hormone levels?
Great question. So this is also a controversial topic. Some individuals will measure through, well, it also depends on the hormones. So cortisol is measured through saliva. So we do a 4-spot saliva test, because we're looking at your body functions on its own rhythm. And cortisol has a diurnal rhythm where it's elevated in the morning and goes down at night. And so when we look at the test, we're looking to see, is your curve normal? Are you wired and tired? We would, even based on your symptoms, we'd be able to kind of tell what your curve looks like. So we use saliva for that. Things like your thyroid, we are looking at blood. We look at blood tests. For your sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, and how your body metabolizes those hormones, my preference is urine. I use a 24-hour urine test.
Great, thank you. And Joni encourage everybody to also look at Rev 11 because we do have some videos out there about natural products. How about SPF, especially during the summer?
I love this question.
I
Oh
know.
my gosh. First of all, I'm a big believer that SPF is not your BFF. SPF is important, but SPF only is an indication of UVB protection. We don't have anything for UVA protection. And in the summer, that's good, but the sun is shining 365 days a year. You need sun protection all year round. And I'm sitting in front of a window right now. And I live in the Pacific Northwest and it's cloudy a lot of the time. I still need sun protection. 80% of the UV rays are getting through those clouds. And the sun, the UV exposure that you get is made up of UVA, UVB, and visible light. UVC rays don't get through the atmosphere, so you don't have to worry about those. UVB rays fluctuate with season. They fluctuate throughout the time of day and the intensity. We call those the burning rays. UVA rays don't fluctuate. They penetrate deeper into the skin. They also penetrate window glass. So even if you're not going outside, you're in your office, but your desk is in front of a window, you still need some protection because you're getting that UVA exposure all the time. So I hope that kind of shifts your perspective on just needing sun protection in the summertime. You need it all the time. 90% of visible signs of aging are from sun exposure. Oh, and blue light. So we're sitting in front of our screens. We now know that blue light can also contribute to changes in the collagen and the elastin, the tone of our skin, and potentially can contribute to pigmentary changes. So when you wear a moisturizer with SPF 30 or above, and I personally am a big fan only of the physical blockers like zinc oxide, get a tinted with iron oxide product because the iron oxides will block the blue light.
You might need to put that in the chat. So
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think or in some follow-up email for everybody. I think we need to send out because a wealth of knowledge. You just rattled that off. So we'll include that in our follow-up notes. What about such great questions? What are your thoughts on makeup? Is it okay to wear makeup every day, or is that bad for you?
Here's what I'll say. It's all about intentionality. Is it, when we say bad, right? Why are you wearing the makeup? Are you wearing the makeup from the perspective of you're trying to camouflage and cover something up? Or are you wearing it because you feel amazing and you want to show off your assets? So that's number one of that. The second part of that is if you just wash the makeup off. I think a lot of, we might get tired and then we don't wash it off and then your clogs get, might get clogged. So making sure you wash that makeup off in the evening, especially. Sun protection causes aging, but we know that air pollution also contributes to that. So at the end of the day, you've been outside, you've had your makeup on, you might have some debris if you live in a city, so you want to wash that off. So I don't think inherently makeup is bad, unless, each individual product, if it's causing a reaction, that's not the product for you. But I just invite you to ask yourself again, like, why am I deciding to wear the makeup?
And then a similar question about hormone imbalances. What can you do to address hormone imbalances as you grow older?
Right. I love this question. So many things. So we always start, I think the biggest thing is stress. I don't think we realize the impact that stress has on our overall health and well-being. I mean, I know this firsthand. This is how I wound up with melanoma and 2 reconstructive surgeries. I did not appreciate the impact that stress had on my life. And your body is always going to prioritize your stress response. It's going to prioritize creation of cortisol. Your body only has so many resources. So in order to create the cortisol to deal with the stress, your other hormones are going to take a backseat. We used to call something called pregnenolone steal, progesterone steal. So pregnenolone is the mother of all hormones. It's from that all your other hormones get derived. So that pregnenolone now is going to make the cortisol. So progesterone, estrogen, androgens are all taking a backseat. So one of the keys to creating hormonal balance is learning how to manage our stress. We can't get rid of stress. It's a fact of life, but it's learning how to harness our ability to manage it a little bit better. So that's my number one tip for hormone balance.
Great. And are there certain foods that you avoid or drinks that you avoid?
Yeah. So when it comes to glowing skin, and this is, I created a guide specifically to address this question. It's the Glowing Skin Guide. And so here I can.
And we are sending out the Glowing Skin Guide, right? As a follow-up?
Yeah. So this is it too. If you can always take down that, but you're going to be sending it in follow up. But this is all about what foods to eat to help your skin glow from the inside out. But when it comes to, there's three basic principles. It's eat power. So eat foods that have powerful antioxidants, and nutrient dense whole foods. So your fruits, your veggies, your spices like ginger and turmeric, all of the rosemary, these all have not only anti-inflammatory, but they're anti-carcinogenic. And we know skin cancer is the most prevalent cancer worldwide, the most preventable, the most ignored. You actually have the ability to combat that through your diet. So eating a nutrient dense whole food diet, so eating foods with powerful, potent antioxidants. The second thing is get off the sugar roller coaster. So foods with processed foods with a lot of added sugar create a nightmare for your skin, because sugar contributes to inflammation, and inflammation can create significant problems, redness, breakouts, and the like. The other thing that sugar does is creates something called advanced glycation end products. AGES is the acronym. AGES age you. So foods that are processed, high in sugars, those are the ones that we avoid, because these AGES, these advanced glycation end products, they bind to your collagen and the elastin. Again, the tissues that give you that youthful, plumpy appearance to your skin. They bind to the collagen and the elastin and make them inelastic and friable, break it down, and that leads to the skin sag you see, the fine lines and wrinkles. So yeah, sugar is probably the number one. And for some people, gluten, can create a lot of inflammation. So there's a lot of foods, but I would say sugar is probably the number one. And then, in terms of drinks, alcohol. I love, my favorite prescription is a glass of biodynamically grown red wine and dark chocolate, but that's not so good for our hot flashes. But here's the thing, there are a few companies like Dry Farm Wines. I have no affiliation with them, but there are companies like that make wines. They test them for pesticides, so low toxic load, so that's important, low sugar content, and lower alcohol. So you actually can enjoy your glass of wine, no sulfites either, which is what can contribute and give us a headache. So you still can have your wine, but you just have to choose it right.
Carefully.
I love that. Well, Keira, it's been such a pleasure to host you. The time has gone quickly, but everyone, you will get a follow-up note with the Glowing Skin Guide and a few notes of what we talked about. Thank you for joining us on a lovely evening. I want to turn it back over to Joni to talk about what's coming up next with Revel 11. More fun.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doctor. That was just a beautiful presentation. I learned so much. And I always think that the people who are supposed to be here to hear what you have to say is the most important thing. And I know that I needed to hear a lot of what you said today. So thank you so much.